It's doing it again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. And I don't know where that noise is playing. I'm so sorry. Hopefully I can fix this. It's going for the third time now. I don't know. I'm just gonna wing it and we'll see if we can get it figured out. Hey everybody, welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin. Oh my gosh. I don't know where that noise is playing. I'm so Can you hear all this?
It's like someone's watching the show at your house, I guess.
It's like playing somewhere, but I don't see another. Oh, it's on Pilled. We're on pilled.net as well. Let me turn that off. Okay, I think I fixed it.
Cool.
Oh, I thought I was losing my mind there for a while. Okay, it didn't have a speaker up on the tab. So I'm sitting here like clicking through tabs trying to figure out where that was. You know, we're live and trying to figure out how all this is working. Anyway, Johnny, welcome to have you. So great to have you on the show, and I need your help today for sure. You sent me an article about FedNow, and I have been saying that FedNow was supposed to roll out 3/20. But you corrected me. You think that maybe is the ISO thing that's going to roll out. Can you explain how that's different or what the ISO is versus FedNow?
I think the ISO thing, to me, to my best of my understanding, is more of like a worldwide standard that they want every country that's going to participate in this to follow. And the actual FedNow update is actually a change to the protocol of how the money moves around. And I always said that FedNow update or switching to that protocol is essential and necessary for the CBDC to run on. In other words, that's the railroad needed for those rail cars to run on. You can't run the CBDC with the infrastructure they have in place right now. The settlement is too slow. And
okay,
it is interesting because, this brings about more, I guess, peer-to-peer payments right from the Fed directly without having to go through banks. And a lot of the issue with banks is how long they hold the money for. And now this money is going to move more instantaneous to one another. So it almost makes you think, well, is there as much of a need for these banks, I guess, after this rolls out? And that cuts out a lot of their profits. A lot of their profits come from holding that money for a period of time. When they hold billions and billions and billions of dollars for an extra day, that's a lot of money that they make in the back end.
So I heard our friend Kent Hieronymus, St. Jerome's Crypto Experiences, he did a really great video the other day talking about all different influencers that he's been listening to over the years and how he's kind of learned about crypto. And then at the end, he was talking about this ISO 2020, and he talked about XRP and Stellar. And that logo of Stellar looks so much like the one that's on that Phoenix from the Economist magazine from, is it 84 or 88? Where the 88. Phoenix is 88. It makes me wonder if that's going to end up being that, we hear people talking about the quantum financial system and all of that kind of stuff. And there is a quantum.gov website like that the government is looking into it or doing something with it, from what I understand. So.
Well, wasn't there their patents from the post office for
Yes.
voting.
Those were approved in 2016, or that's when I think it was 2016. It was, yeah, voting, blockchain voting through the post office patents. That was like, gosh, right when we were first getting into crypto and stuff that we heard about all that. And I want to say they got approved in 2016. It's just all kind of coming together, but it's all kind of falling apart too with this banking collapse. I did a video with Andy Scheckman yesterday, and he was talking about how, well, let me back up. I did a video with Reggie for the very DAO, which it released today. And Reggie was talking about how, I was telling him how, they're saying, run to JP Morgan, and all these depositors are running to JP Morgan, but that's so centralized. And he said, well, yeah, but if you look up like the economy or the value of JP Morgan, they have as much like assets or value as like one of the largest countries in the world. They're like 5th or 6th in the world. It's like, the US, Russia, Brazil. No, they're above Brazil, actually, because I remember being shocked at that. They have more assets than Brazil. Well, then I did a video yesterday with Andy Scheckman, and we were talking about silver and how about Cliff High's data with the unobtainium of silver, and then what would end up happening because of that. And he said, I totally believe that. He goes, I've been saying that price discovery will be realized with silver because of a lack of sourcing. And that will be that unobtainium moment. And when that happens, that will pop those derivatives. All that paper silver goes away because real pricing happens. And he said, but who's the largest holder of paper silver? JP Morgan Chase.
Yeah.
So it could destroy them. Like the ultimate silver squeeze and destroy JP Morgan is my understanding of it.
Weren't they Epstein's banker?
Yes.
JP Morgan. And I believe also Bernie Madoff, he only used one bank.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of...
What does that tell you?
Yeah. This was a really strange sight. And then I had a friend show me or tell me that he had visited the US, that debt clock video. Let's see if I can find that.
Are they?
Let's see.
Is that a boy in the video in like a dress?
Yeah, it's a little teenage boy in a romper coming down the plane steps.
I guess it's to promote their agenda of all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, weird.
Is that his does he have a grandson, Biden?
I don't know. Oh, now it's switched to something else. Okay. I don't know. Where did my debt clock go? I had the debt clock pulled up. I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties today. Here it is. So I had a friend tell me they removed the US dollar, the Fed notes, off of this debt clock. And what he had said is that the oil went to 0, which here it says dollar to oil ratio 0, dollar to silver 0, dollar to gold 0. That's strange. And then now it says US Treasury dollars. Oh. Can you see that history?
Yep. Yeah. In 1862, President Lincoln issued $450 million directly from the U.S. Treasury. These debt-free, interest-free notes were known as greenbacks. And then on June 4th, 1963, President Kennedy signed Executive Order 11110, issuing $4.3 billion directly from the U.S. Treasury, bypassing the Federal Reserve Bank. These debt-free, interest-free notes were known as silver certificates.
And there's a money banking history. That was wild because you can like go all over this, but that's the only place that pops up.
Interesting.
USA Treasury dollars. At the top of it, it says USA Treasury dollars. M2 US M. I've always heard of M1 money supply. What would M2 money supply be? And why does it say now by it? I guess they mean immediate time.
The one underneath was the year 2000.
Oh,
I think
okay.
M1 is like base money that's in the system, and M2 is like money that's like available in banks and things of that nature. Money, like, I believe that's the distinction.
Okay. How strange.
I know during COVID, when COVID first hit, the remember it was like so clear on a chart.
Whoa.
The M2 money supply skyrocketed. I mean, it's never went up as much as it did then. And then, well, actually, I think when Biden first hit, it kept going up, 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 up. And then the velocity of money fell off a cliff. So I always felt that's why they did COVID to us, because they needed to create that phenomenon. If not, we would have went into a hyperinflation then, because they created too much money. And if they didn't stop the economy from moving, the money would have moved too fast around the system and would have caused everything to hyperinflate. So the fact that they slowed that down at the time, while increasing the M2 was interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, because this M2 compared to why would that be still moving if it was in 2000? But it's moving.
See, it's moving down.
No, it's going up, I think. 630.
The one that says now.
640. Oh, the one that says now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it is going down.
Because they're pulling money out of the system, I guess, with the quantitative tightening. Because that counts bonds also. So by doing the quantitative tightening, they're offloading bonds off their balance sheet or whatever. And that decreases the money supply.
Wow. Look at this low amount in treasury dollars, though. That seems like not very.
It does. There was 4 times as much in the year 2000. It shows on that that clock. That's interesting.
And I don't see any Fed notes on here.
I guess the Fed notes would be they're included in that M2 money supply number.
Okay.
Yeah, because that includes all, Fed notes, bonds, things of that nature.
Interesting.
What's the debt doing? The debt's obviously still going up. Yep.
Debt, yes, going up.
Going up at an alarming rate.
Debt per citizen, debt per taxpayer. 246,000.
Shows you how they play around with everything, though. How the debt's skyrocketing while they're pulling money out of the system, and it shows how they play around with everything. Again, they should create money on a fixed schedule so people know and then if money was really issued like how those greenbacks and how they were talking, it's issued as a debt-free instrument with no interest attached to it. It's issued right out of the treasury. Then you could have stable money. You could say, okay, we're going to create 3% more money every year, and it's going to get created every week. We do an airdrop or whatever into the system. As long as it's a steady supply of it, okay, here's the amount of money that's going out. And then I guess if it's physical currency, some would disappear and you would know kind of, okay, here's a true rate of inflation for how the money gets out there. And how the system is now, they just decide we're going to do this. So you have no bearing on what they're going to do in a few years. They could go back to zero interest and major quantitative easing, which means they're buying the bonds in the back end or whatever instead of selling them off their balance sheet.
So strange to me. I was trying to see if there were some other things on here that I just think that this is the biggest thing.
I guess the treasury dollars, I guess, are they considering the money that Kennedy issued in 1963? And that's why in the year 2000, they still had it as 3.5 million, and now they have it as 839,000. I mean, are they?
Where'd they go?
I guess, could it be people turning them into banks and just people don't know? Then they get their hands on a regular dollar instead. They're obviously not giving them silver, redeeming them for silver.
Yeah. Well, and why is this dollar to oil ratio now 0 per barrel? And they're showing it when it was in 19, and they've got comparison of 1913. So it says now and then 1913, which we all know what happened in 1913. That's when the Fed was created. So why is, and it's not 2000 like these others. 2000 is the other time. This says dollar to oil ratio per barrel in 1913 was $2.24. Silver was $2.68. Gold 28.25 cents.
That's basically saying what a barrel of oil cost back then, right?
Is that what it was? Yeah, per barrel. Yeah, $2.24 per barrel.
I guess now it would be what's oil per barrel now? Like $80 right now. I guess it went down this week, but
I think it was
still in the 70s. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. But why isn't it saying that?
That's strange.
All those three things are zeroed out, and there's no Fed dollars on here. And now it says Treasury dollars.
I guess they have to. What was I going to say? Maybe they have to assign a value to the Treasury dollar, and then you'll get a dollar to oil. That is interesting, as we were saying last week. It's no longer the petrodollar anymore. For all intents and purposes, it's still the world reserve currency, but it's not the petrodollar ever since Saudi Arabia decided to trade oil in non-dollar assets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. Now this USA debt clock reflects that within a matter of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a number. It's not like, oh, we're ignoring that section. They have a number for what it was in 1913.
Mm-hmm.
And why'd they pick that year?
It's very interesting.
Very.
And some people say that it's not a real government clock or whatever, or that it's it's just an algorithm and the numbers. But that's very strange and very strange timing with what all is going on in the world right now.
We don't believe in coincidences on this show.
That's right.
In our world, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
And nothing they ever do has your best interest at heart.
Right. Nothing that they do ever has your best interests at heart. And there's no coincidences. So those are kind of two baselines for you to operate on underlying principles, so you could see things more clear. It's like if something random happens, think to yourself, well, it's not random. This happened for a reason. And they're not doing it for my best interest. That much we know for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, look
Yeah.
this week. Look at they bailed out their friends again. This Silicon Valley Bank, and it's the scary thing, or it's not the scary thing, is it's like they didn't protect the banking system so feverishly. The banks would have all collapsed by now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even be close. If they attacked the banking system like they do the crypto market, you'd be hearing a different tune, but they try to protect the banking system at all times. A lot of people are still asleep at the wheel on this, even though it's in mainstream news. They're still like, oh, they don't want to believe it. They just don't believe it. They think it's, they're making it a bigger deal than it is. So most people are still asleep at the wheel.
This is interesting. One of our friends in the chat just said, have you seen Representative Massey's debt clock on his lapel? So there's a copper, which that's probably not by mistake either. Lapel, a digital, and it says national debt, and it's like a running ticker.
Wow.
That he's wearing. Pretty interesting.
I mean, that's a responsible thing to be wearing. You're showing the problem. I like that guy Massey.
They should have that running at Congress at all times.
Yeah, they should. They should.
Like Westwood's got his Litecoin ticker running at the bar.
We do have some people fighting for us that are there. It's just there's a lot of bad ones. So, when you think it's, it's getting so bad, then all of a sudden the good people come out that are fighting for us and are like, wait a second, you're stifling innovation right now. You went way overboard with all this. And, so we're seeing a lot of that get exposed this week, I feel like.
There has been a lot. There's going to be a lot more. Like I said, we did that interview with Reggie, and he and his team are putting in a lot of hours working on things. And I believe that's going to be part of the new economy. Like, as we rebuild, we can do it right. We can take back. The government should never, I don't think, be touching our money. They don't have to be involved in our money. Money is gold and silver. And we, the people, created the Constitution and wrote that in it. We decided what money was going to be. So I don't know. I think
they should butt out of the money business, especially the controlling of interest rates, quantitative easing, quantitative tightening. How much do we go up? How long do we keep it artificially low for? Because the Fed, Powell talks and it moves the markets. That it shouldn't have any effect on the markets. It should, if we had money that was a debt-free instrument with no interest attached to it, that you knew was a steady inflation rate, it wouldn't matter what they said. The free market would take over. But now what happens is, if there's bad news, the markets like it because they're like, oh, the Fed's going to lower rates, or they're going to do this. If there's good news, the markets don't like it because they're like, oh, everything's good. It means they're going to raise the interest rates more on us or tighten more. So it's a perverse world. It's not supposed to be that way. America in general isn't supposed to be where it is now. There's too much government. There's not supposed to be all these agencies. And what stuff.
And not supposed to weaponize. The agencies shouldn't be weaponized against the American people. That's insane. And it's happening, and it's in our face, and nobody's doing anything about it. Nothing happens to them. We just watched the former vice president walk down that, staircase with whatever that was behind him. Nobody's saying anything about it. There's now proof the Treasury has turned over information from the Biden's bank accounts and shown direct wires from China to Biden family members, over $3 million. That's treason. That is a foreign agent. That is, I'm just like, why aren't we dragging them out of the White House? I don't understand. I don't understand why nothing.
It's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
It's a head scratcher. I just want to get, make the government what were we founded on? A rebellion against a revolt against the 3% tax on tea, I believe it was. And now think about how perverse it's gotten. And then people are like, well, that's your patriotic duty, is to do all this stuff. And it's like, no, it's not. It's written into the Constitution. We're not supposed to be doing this. So how's our patriot? Aren't we supposed to go by that as our bylaws, as our Bible?
And in fact, our patriotic duty is to rise up against tyranny. That's in the preamble of the Constitution. That is our patriotic duty. And that we can do through educating ourselves and
because they've weaponized all these agencies against us, we the people. It's they've weaponized every last one of them against us. So it's a scary place that we got to, that we're in, and just how big everything is. And it's how do you make it smaller? How does it become smaller? It's a lot of question marks. How do we allow this to happen is the thing. Like, how did they pacify us so good that people just went along with this stuff?
Bread and circus, beer and football, and thinking it's none of your business. And they started with the political correctness and don't talk about politics with your neighbor. No, we need to be talking about politics, and we need to talk about religion with our neighbor. I had a great conversation with a friend of mine that I've gotten to know through volunteering through the Very Dow, and he's really knowledgeable about the Bible and just an amazing man. And he talked about how these mega churches have actually just destroyed what community was supposed to be. You used to church, in Jesus' day, you met in your homes. There was community. And when all this breaks down and is destroyed again, we're going to need to know our neighbors. We're going to need to borrow a cup of sugar or barter for, hey, can you come help me fix my fence, or figure it out? And that will bring us back into community and maybe get our faces out of this thing.
It's funny because you guys have the mega churches down where you're at.
Yeah.
And then in the Northeast, everybody that's Italian or of Irish background was Catholic growing up. That's what I was. And then we just eventually saw the corruption with that and all the kiddo stuff that we just said, well, we're not part of that anymore. How could we go to that church still and agree with all that, what they're telling you, when it's like, wait a minute, you're covering up child sexual abuse? I'm not.
And literally just moving them to a different parish where they can hurt more children.
So it's very, that there's still people that are Catholic, but it took a big hit. And, when I was a kid going to church in this area, being Catholic, that was community. The Catholic churches were staples in the town. There was multiple of them. And which church you go to? You go to this church, that church. And it's, they did that to us up here. Down by you guys, they did the mega churches.
Yeah,
and then
mega churches.
So it's the same outcome. It's just a different means to get there. They're doing the same stuff to us. They're just saying, well, we can't get everybody with the same approach and attack angle. We got to
more ways to divide us.
We got to trick these people different than we trick these people. More ways to divide us. And it's just, even with the college stuff and what they teach people. And the funniest thing is, they've been, even since I was in college, they were just teaching us straight crap. And that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now, sorry, Mr. Loud.
It's okay.
So 20 years ago, they're teaching us straight crap. It's even worse today, and no one questioned it. Everybody's, when I was younger, oh, you got to go to college, you'll never get a job. And that was what was implanted in your head. You have to go to college, you'll never get a job. And people would lie, cheat, and steal to get their kid into a better college. And meanwhile, not even questioning, well, what the hell are they teaching these kids? And you just went along with the program because it was like, well, that's what people do. Don't question it. These are academics. These are smart people. All this stuff.
Well, it's like the whole, if you look into right before the Great Infection and all this stuff, all those college scandals were coming out where the rich people were faking pictures with their kids as like sports people. And then they pay a guy and then they get them into Yale, Harvard, whatever. And then you come to find out like those kids aren't really even there or learning the stuff. It's not about that. It's all about these connections, because we know it's all about the clubs and the bloodlines. Yeah. And they want their kids meeting the other kids with the club, in the club, and with the bloodlines. And that's what we don't want any part of. So I'm all about, Pimpy says community is what will save us.
People told me that. I remember being in a jewelry store and kind of arguing with a guy. He's like, when your kids go to school, and I didn't even have kids at this time. He goes, college will be so much money and you better save. It was like all these scare tactics, but you got to save. And it's like, get more in that system, get more in that system, get more in that system. And he was like, it's not about the school or the education. It's like, it's the connections you make at these places. And it's, I don't want my kids having those kind of connections, being connected to those people. The Northeast has a lot of this stuff, these Ivy League schools, the Yales, the Harvards of the world. These are where all these people meet up at and get together at. And, it's bad energy. This is not, if you're someone that feels energy, this is not something you want to be around at all. You want to run for the hills from these people.
Yeah, definitely watch out. Well, I love our community, and that's the kind of energy that I want to put into. And so that I went to this great meeting this morning that I found this organization, kind of came across it. I don't know if it was on social media or what, but it's like an incubator or a accelerator for small business in Oklahoma City. And so I submitted to be considered or be interested in it, to learn more about it. And it's like one of my friends from years ago through the church, her husband, and some other people are doing it. It's being funded by the Greens, which own Hobby Lobby. All the Hobby Lobbies are very Christian, good people. They do a lot of work, donate a lot of money, and do a lot of good works in the community. And anyway, this guy came up and did this training, and he talked about this mindset shift from poverty, wealth to sacrifice, and how giving, if you can change your mindset, and what he did is he had accountability with a group of other Christian men, and they got together, and they still get together once a year. And they just got to a certain point. They were like, how much is enough? At what point, how much is enough? And I think a lot of us that are here right now that have the education and the knowledge of what's going on in the world in real life, and we've prepared to protect our family through this time, are going to be in a position where it's going to be important that you give away a lot of your wealth that you're able to get to the other side. Now you're going to have to be a good steward of it. Like, you don't just throw it away. Like, I think it's going to be really important that we invest in the community, and we vet those projects and people and help rebuild America. I think that we're in this place and time and in this situation for a reason.
Yeah. I think I have more hope for areas like where you live than more of the Northeast. Northeast.
Well, you can move on down here.
I know. I definitely have more faith for where you're at. There's more a chance of community actually working. Where I'm at,
I think God can show up anywhere.
He could. That is true.
You know, so
that is true.
I think
let's hope. We got to keep the hopium going, right? You always have to hope for something good. I mean, if not, then what is there to live for, I guess, if you're not hoping for anything good? I mean, I think people think a lot of this stuff's doom and gloom, but it's not doom and gloom. It's speculating and theorizing. Okay, here's what's going to come. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what we see. And how do we shape it so it works for us? It's like what I always said to people about cryptos like Bitcoin, like Litecoin being digital cash for the future. People always felt like we were so against cash.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're not against cash at all. I still want cash, but I just want cash also for an internet cash, a digital cash, and one that works for us. I don't want to just keep ignoring it. That's what people did. People put their heads in the sand when it came to Bitcoin. Oh, it's too hard. I just want it easy. It's too hard. Because people are so used to just everything being so easy. Oh, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to deal with it. No problem. You know what? They're getting ready right now with their FedNow protocol so they could run the CBDC on it. No problem. You don't want to get out ahead of them. They're going to bring you the solution. They'll make it nice and easy for you. And we have to get out of that mindset. Not everything. Freedom's not always the easiest path. The bad guys want to make it easy for you to trap you in their system. They want to make it comfortable for you to get trapped in that system. Oh, come with us. This won't hurt a bit, kind of thing. You know.
Yeah, the amount of education that I'm doing right now with all this stuff, and I'm sharing stuff on Telegram and sharing it in Patreon. Freedom. I mean, people have fought for freedom. That is the history of America, is fighting for your freedom, and now it's our turn. And I think we can do that through education. So
don't get discouraged educating normies and talking to normies. They're not. Most of them aren't ready for this stuff. So you have to really approach them with kid gloves, really try to find out something that they'll vibe with in their own life, rather than just don't give everyone a generic elevator pitch, because everybody's going to respond to something different. And don't show major emotion, if they're not vibing with you. Remember, they're not into this for a reason. They're normies for a reason. So I think if we have to really be conscious about how do we approach them. What hits home to them? I guess a lot right now is with food prices. That's something that nobody could deny. Like, is your grocery bill been more? Yes or no? And then that's kind of a common ground, at least we could work off. They might be totally against crypto, then immediately almost drop the crypto pitch and go into a gold and silver pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And they might say, oh, it's an old barbarous relic or this or that. Just explain that, it might be, but it brought accountability to the financial system. And the dollar used to be backed by gold, and now it's not. And that's why everything is inflating away in price. Even bring up college as an example. Yeah. The price of college tuition has outpaced the rate of inflation an insane amount. And the reason being, because they've sent everyone to college. They've given everybody, everybody go to college. And that's what drove up the price for the people that actually pay for it. And now the people that can afford it, they want to scare you with it and say, well, you better start saving from the time your kid's in the womb, start saving in this 529 plan. and this, because you're going to need every last dime that you can get your hands on. It's going to be so expensive when your kids get there, and people just have it in their mindset. It's going to be so, not even questioning, well, is it worth it? At what point does that college education not worth the money that you're laying out? I mean, it doesn't, unless you're going for something specific, it's pretty valueless. I mean, I'm not saying don't educate your kids, but you can educate them in different ways. Going to a woke university, you're better off buying your kid a business and saying, run the business for a year. Here's what we're going to throw into it. And what you get a lesson in small business. You get a lesson in business. We'll talk about a crash course in the real world.
Right.
You could take
Especially
courses.
have to deal with the public.
You could take certain courses too that are a skill you need to learn. Maybe you need to learn more about Excel or how to do something specific. Nothing wrong with taking a course. You don't need to get the woke degree. I mean, a diploma on your wall for most in the business world, that means jack shit. No one cares if you have a diploma on the wall. It's like, can you sell? Can you perform? Is your business good? We don't care what piece of paper you have on your wall. Like, well, how's your performance?
Absolutely. You have to go perform and make some dinner for, I heard a little
on the grill.
Yes, I heard a little lady in your hallway. I'll let you go, but thanks, Johnny, for everything. And just wanted to get this information out to everybody. And I want to clarify that I was incorrect on saying FedNow is rolling out next week. It is the ISO update or upgrade or
FedNow in January. And I would just tell everyone, keep it
July.
July, not January. I knew it was a J month. I don't know why I said Jan.
Mm-hmm.
January passed. We're past January.
Yes.
We're past January. It's coming out in July, which is a few months away. Keep your eyes out for events to occur that they distract us with. Now we know what's happening with banks. They want to get our attention off of that, distract us with another crisis of why this CBDC is going to be necessary and needed and good. So could be your bank going down. But I think they're going to do more to us than that. So just keep your eyes out. Anything could happen right now. We're going to see fireworks throughout the end, for the rest of this year, I feel like.
Yeah, especially going into everybody can go watch Uncle Cliff's latest video, but he was talking about huge bank failures by May, and then just a really dark time, July, August, September, because people were seeing that's how the people are going to wake up, is by the ugliness rolling out. So, maybe we'll get to see some movies from the spa down there. Thanks again, Johnny. Take care. You guys give us a like, share the video, get the information out there, and we'll see you tomorrow on Happy Hour.
Later, guys.
Bye.